Welcome to this tutorial. This is a synthesis tutorial using Massive, not necessarily a Massive tutorial. I'm Insurgents, I'm a dubstep producer, and I'm going to try and give you an idea of how you can fatten up your lead sounds using this instance of Massive here. So to start off, I've got, that's two sawtooth waves there. Not particularly interesting unless you're quite simple. Bless you. If you want to thicken things up, people often use detuning. This is cents here on the right hand side of this decimal point, so I'm not knocking it out into different harmonies. I'm just detuning it slightly, and if you do that to certain values of these cents here, can actually introduce some self-modulation, which can be cool. But I always find that is more suited to bass sounds or chordy, paddy sounds that you want to, to sort of not use as a lead sound in your mix, I suppose. What my problem with this, when you use it in the higher registers, is it becomes indirect. Now, if you want a really punchy, screamy, aggressive lead, what you want is for it to be direct. You don't want this indirect feeling where you have such a large amount of detuning that you're actually unsure as to, or your mind isn't sure as to what frequency it's supposed to be listening to. Which is great when you want it to be like that, but for lead sounds that you really want to punch through, I've figured out this this technique. Well, I probably haven't figured it out, but I use it a lot, and I'm sure it's used by many others, but this is a tutorial for you, and if you haven't come across it before, then you'll find it useful. So what it is on oscillator 1, I've just modulated the pitch, as I was speaking there, by an octave upwards with an envelope here, envelope 1. It's very important that the attack is sort of quick, not lightning fast, but quick enough not to really be registered as something 100% intentional. If you understand what I mean by that, I'll give you a. So that I would say is slightly too long. So if you're aiming for something like, okay, it very briefly zooms for all of the frequencies between that octave and the octave above it, whichever octave I happen to be playing. So if I play D3, what's actually happening is it's playing D3 and every note between D3 and D4, and it's landing on D4. It's only landing on D4 because I've set this sustain here to its maximum. If I don't do that, it does this and goes down, which is great if you want it to do that, but right now we're after punchy leads, not sound design, so keeping it at its top, at its maximum. I'm not sure I did just play D3. No, I did play D3. Yes, I did play D3. It's not that it's important. So now, yeah, we have the sustain at the maximum to sustain that octave above pitch. We want to play the note we're hitting. It will be a D, but it will be a D above what you played, which is fine because this is, we're still working on oscillators here. We're not committing to a melody, if you see what I mean. If you then turn on oscillator 2 and have a flat pitch, ignore the 1 being there. That's nothing is being modulated there. It's thickened it up, but it lands on harmonically relative pitches. Basically you've got a spread of an octave here at the end, but during that attack time, what you're getting is detuning right across the board until it reaches its maximum. Now, another cool thing to do is to knock that one up by twice the amount. You've got that same the same thing is happening, but it's happening slightly differently. They're now detuned against each other during the attack time, but when it lands on the final note that it wants to be, bearing in mind that the attack time is really short, it lands on it lands on the pitch that you played, on the note that you played, just an octave above, or well, no, it's 2 octaves. Really, it's an octave spread. So that's really quite cool, and you can play around with that. But also you could maybe play around with harmonies in the same way. You have to forgive my little melodies there, they're all improvised. Just to give you an example of what's going on here. Okay, so what you've really got when you're playing with that is a that attack has extra pop to it, I suppose. It has a bit of oomph to it. It's hard to describe these things, but I hope I'm getting through to you what I mean there. With that same envelope, if you keep everything at the same rate there, modulate maybe the cutoff. It starts at 0, but it's not at 0 for long, so you get that resonance happening there. If that's down, you probably don't get so much of that. Do you see what I mean? There's no pop there, but once you turn the resonance up, there you go. And maybe you might think that's a bit too much, and you turn it down, but then you say, I actually liked it that way, but I don't like the way it sounds after the attack time. At the sustain, so, let's just turn this attack down here. If you don't like that sound, well, there's one way to achieve that, using exactly the same envelope, just using it backwards. So you're taking a value down in the same, by the same ratios and at the same time and speeds and exactly the same parameters. But actually, instead of going up with your resonance like you would do with your pitch or your cutoff in this example, you're going down. You're taking the resonance away, but it's there for that initial punch. You can start to add distortion on that, and you can do whatever. I've got one I did, one I'm most happy with. You're going to see my name now, followed by a lady, or sexy lady. That has no bearing on my personality, I assure you. Here we go. Yeah, that's really that's quite a forceful lead, isn't it? You wouldn't ignore that in a mix, if I dare say so myself. So, yeah, awesome way of giving your leads some more oomph. I suppose that's really it. I could show you how to make this patch here, but as I said, I don't want this to become a massive tutorial, a tutorial about massive, so to speak. And I've used, waveforms that are very specific to massive. So rough math there, rough math 3. That's quite unique to massive, acid, and I've probably got something going on down here in the voicing section. Yeah, I've got some unisono going on. So, I mean, feel free to have a gander at this if you can see it clearly enough and replicate it. But for all those of you who are using different synths, the fundamental the part of this synth patch I've got here is using that technique I just showed you. So I hope that comes to be of great use to you. Thank you very much for listening. Start the recording.